You ever have one of those moments where everything around you keeps moving, people laughing, clinking glasses, smiling like it's just another Tuesday, but for you, time just stops? That was me, 3 weeks before what was supposed to be the happiest day of my life. My name is Norah Vale. I'm 35, visual arts professor, quiet, reserved. I don't sparkle at parties, and I don't have an army of online followers thirsting after my outfit choices. I live for brush strokes, the sound of pencil on paper, and rainy morning walks along the Willamette River. And I was engaged to Julian, an architectural designer with a calm presence and a soul so gentle it made me believe in softness again. We met during a guest lecture at my college. He was there to talk about form and structure. I was there because I had nowhere else to be. Funny how fate doesn't ask for permission. It just collides. We fell in love over things that don't photograph well. Silence, subtlety, the way his hand lingered on my back when we crossed the street. He made me feel seen in a way no one else ever had. Especially not my family. And definitely not my sister. Talia Vale, 28. Beauty influencer. Lifestyle queen. Expert manipulator in 4-inch heels. She doesn't walk into a room, she consumes it. She's the golden one. The favorite. And I was always the rest. When Julian proposed last fall, I didn't want a spectacle. We chose a small art gallery for our wedding, a place where I once hosted a student showcase and where Julian whispered, "I love you," for the first time. May 20th, 3 p.m. booked over a year in advance. Intimate. Ours. Or so I thought. Then came the dinner. Talia called a family meeting at my parents' house. Said she had news. When I arrived, champagne was already flowing. My mom wore pearls. My dad had that annoying half-smile he reserves for surprises he's complicit in. Talia was bouncing in her seat, glowing like she'd invented joy. "I'm getting married," she squealed. "To Aiden." I blinked. Her boyfriend of 6 months. An ad exec with perfect teeth and a Porsche he parked like it was part of his personality. "Oh," I said, trying to smile. "That's fast." She clapped her hands. And guess what? We picked a date. May 20th. I felt the blood drain from my face. "I'm sorry." "What?" "May 20th, she repeated. Isn't that wild? The date just felt right. I didn't even realize I was gripping my wine glass so hard until my knuckles turned white. "Talia," I said slowly. "That's my wedding date." She giggled. "You didn't copyright it, Norah." She laughed. Then she leaned across the table, gave me this syrupy smile, and said, "You can cry later. This day belongs to me." My parents? They said nothing. Not one word. My dad just shrugged. "Maybe it's best if you adjust. Talia's wedding will have more visibility." Visibility. Not love. Not meaning. Not memory. Visibility. I looked at my mother. She blinked at me like I was being unreasonable. "Your wedding's small, sweetie. Talia's is a major event. The Armadale Hotel is only available that day. It's better for the family if you reschedule." I stood up. My legs shook under me. "I'm not moving my wedding." Talia rolled her eyes. "Don't be dramatic. You always make things harder than they need to be." I walked out. My mom called after me. "Think about what's best for the family." That night, I curled into Julian's chest and told him everything. He held my hand, kissed my forehead, and whispered, "We'll figure this out." I wanted to believe him. I needed to believe him. But the next morning, the final knife twisted. The gallery called. "Norah, I'm so sorry. We've had a last-minute change. The gallery is no longer available for your wedding." I felt my stomach drop. Why? A pause. It was rebooked. Under Talia Vale's name. I dropped the phone. I didn't cry. Not right away. I just stood there in my tiny kitchen, staring at the chip tile on the floor, while the world slid sideways. She hadn't just taken my date. She took the place. The exact place Julian and I chose. The room where I imagined our vows echoing against paint-splashed walls. Where every flower, every chair, every note of music had already been planned down to the second. And she ripped it out from under me. Julian came home with coffee. The second he saw my face, he knew. "She took the gallery," I whispered. He crossed the room and set the cups down. "We'll find another place." "No," I said. "You don't get it. This wasn't about a venue." I looked up at him. She waited. She watched. Until everything was set. And then she made her move. That was the moment something broke inside me. Or maybe something finally woke up. My whole life, I've been the one who stepped aside. smiled through the hurt, took the higher ground. But not this time. This time, I was going to burn the ground beneath her. And she had no idea who Julian really was, or what I was about to become. There's something no one tells you about hitting rock bottom. It's quiet. Not the kind of quiet you find in a library or during a late-night drive, but the kind that settles inside you. A suffocating silence. Like your lungs forgot how to breathe and your heart forgot why it started beating in the first place. That's where I was. I deleted the wedding board I'd been building for over a year. Unsubscribed from every bridal email list. Blocked Talia on every platform. Even wiped the playlist Julian and I made for our first dance. And for a few days, I just existed. My parents? Silent. No calls. No apologies. Nothing. Julian watched me unravel one day at a time. He never pushed. Just made coffee every morning, made dinner every night, and kept whispering, "When you're ready." But I didn't want patience. I wanted revenge. I just didn't know it yet. It wasn't until the gallery posted a photo, Talia's photo. Her and Aiden grinning like they'd built the space themselves. Same background. Same exact setup I'd chosen. She even wore white. I stared at the screen for a full minute before I opened Instagram and typed, "This used to be mine." Then I deleted it, because that would have made it about her. And this? This was about me. So I turned to Julian. I told him, "I don't want a new venue." He looked up. "Then what do you want?" "To stop pretending. To stop being okay." "I'm not okay." For the first time, I saw a flicker of something dangerous behind his eyes. He closed his sketchbook, stood up, and said, "Come with me." No explanation. Just motion for me to get in the car. We drove for almost an hour, me staring out the window, him tapping the steering wheel like he was trying to hold something back. Then we reached a tall iron gate, covered in ivy. A security guard waved us through like Julian was royalty. I turned to him. "Where are we?" He smiled. "Somewhere no one can touch you." What I saw next. It didn't even feel real. A massive estate, modern glass walls, floating walkways, indoor gallery wings, private gardens that looked like they were painted, not planted. There was a reflection pool that mirrored the sky so perfectly it felt like stepping into another world. I stared at it all in disbelief. "Julian, what is this place?" He turned to me. Calm. Still. Solid. "I haven't told you everything." My stomach twisted. "What do you mean?" "I've kept a low profile on purpose," he said. "The Redwood name doesn't mean much to you, but it means everything in architecture." I blinked. He continued, "My grandfather built this place. My parents tried to turn it into a foundation. I took it back. It's mine now. And if you want it, it's yours too. For the wedding. For anything." I stared at him, speechless. He wasn't just giving me a venue. He was handing me a new start. A private, sacred space no one else could claim. And just like that, something inside me shifted. I remembered who I was before the silence. I remembered the girl who stood in front of packed classrooms, who helped students find their voices, who found beauty in the overlooked. I wasn't weak. I was quiet. That's not the same thing. Julian reached into his jacket and handed me a velvet box. I opened it to find a thin silver necklace, etched with a quote from a favorite poet of mine. "They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds." I didn't say anything, just nodded once, because the war had just begun. And then came the message. A notification. Instagram. Norah Vale had followed me. I almost dropped my phone. We'd never spoken privately. We barely made eye contact at family events. Then a DM. "You deserve better than what they did to you. Can we talk?" I stared at the screen. My pulse skipped. Was this bait? A trick? Some twisted loyalty test from Talia? I didn't respond. Not yet. Julian walked in and handed me a glass of wine. "You okay?" I nodded, but I wasn't. My brain was spinning. Later that night, I replied with a single word. "Why?" The answer came fast. "Because I'm not blind. I see what's happening. And I'm starting to wonder if I'm the next one being used." It hit like a sucker punch. Not because I cared about Aiden, but because I knew that feeling too well. He asked to meet. Just coffee. Somewhere public. I almost said no. But the part of me that had stayed silent for too long whispered, "Do it." So I agreed. We met the next day at a little cafe tucked into a quiet corner of downtown. I wore sunglasses, hoodie, no makeup. Aiden looked like he was walking into a deposition. He sat down and didn't even say hello. Just I didn't know she stole your venue. I narrowed my eyes. She told you I canceled? He nodded. She said you postponed for budget reasons. I laughed. Cold. Of course she did. He rubbed his face, looked genuinely wrecked. I'm starting to realize. I don't know who I'm marrying. I stayed silent. Let him talk. She wants sponsorships for the ceremony. Wants me to pitch products during our vows. Last week, she asked if we could lie about how we met. Say it happened in Bali. I blinked. What? She said our real story wasn't marketable. He leaned in. Voice lowered. I found a burner phone. She hides it in her makeup drawer. I saw her texting someone at 2 a.m. laughing. Deleting messages. When I asked, she flipped. Said I was paranoid. I went cold. You think she's cheating? I don't know, he said. But I don't trust her. And I can't shake this feeling like I'm just another accessory in her image. Then he looked me in the eye. Steady. Serious. Whatever you're planning, I want to help. I didn't respond. But that night, I told Julian everything. Every text. Every word. The burner phone. The lies. The manipulation. He didn't get angry. He got focused. This is why we don't back down, he said. They tried to humiliate you. Now we show them who you really are. And I realized something. This wasn't just about getting married. It was about getting even. The Redwood Pavilion became our war room. Julian had started calling in favors, quiet ones. Old colleagues. Gallery contacts. Even a retired fashion editor who once ran a tastemaker magazine and owed him a personal debt. I didn't ask for details. I just watched. Watched how calm he stayed while he sharpened the edge of something that looked an awful lot like revenge, but felt cleaner, smarter. Meanwhile, I played my part too. I showed up. To work. To fittings. To vendor calls. I smiled through it all, small, unshakable, unreadable. Because while Talia screamed louder, I moved in silence. Then the invitations dropped. Not hers. Ours. Custom-pressed, gold-foiled, each with a unique RSVP code linked to the Redwood estate. We didn't post them publicly. We didn't need to. The right people whispered. The whispers turned to rumors. The rumors became headlines. That's when Talia called me. Smug. Sugar slick. Hey, sis. Just a heads up. We're releasing our wedding trailer this weekend. You might want to wait to announce anything until after. Would hate for yours to feel underwhelming. I let her talk. Let her gloat. Then I hung up without a word. Because 2 hours later, our wedding guest list leaked. Julian's work contacts. Art world royalty. Celebrities. The governor's wife. And the editor of the very magazine Talia had begged for years to feature her. The one guest that made her dream collapse before the dress fittings were even done. Her panic came in the form of all caps texts. Why is Aiden refusing to finalize our guest list? What did you tell him? I didn't respond. Because Julian and I were too busy finalizing our seating chart. One name stood out. Aiden Vale. And he wasn't coming just to witness history. He was bringing it. The meeting was set. Aiden requested we meet in person, neutral ground. So we did. An upscale rooftop bar. Quiet. Overcast skies and no cameras. He slid a flash drive across the table like it was a confession. She doesn't know I kept this, he said. I picked it up slowly. What is it? Insurance, he replied. Inside, texts. Voice notes. Videos. Talia, in her own voice, saying. She'll cancel. She always does. She's soft. That gallery is mine. I don't care what it takes. If she really cared about that guy, she'd step aside. The worst part wasn't what she said. It was how casually she said it. Like this wasn't a betrayal. Just strategy. Aiden stared at the skyline, voice heavy. She's not marrying me. She's building content. I'm just the product. I didn't pity him. But I saw him. We'd both been props in the same performance. Only now the curtain was coming down. Julian wasn't shocked when I showed him the footage. He was ready. This is the story we tell, he said. At the wedding. I blinked. You want to go public? I want the truth in a room full of people who pretend to care about integrity. I hesitated. It's dramatic. It's necessary, he said. And for once, I agreed. The night before the wedding, Talia tried one last move. She posted a teaser on her story, a slow-mo clip of her dress fitting, captioned, The real wedding of the year. May 20th, 3 p.m. I almost laughed. She still thought this was a competition. She still hadn't realized she'd already lost. The morning of the wedding came like the eye of a storm, eerily calm. No clouds. Just soft light pouring over the redwood pavilion like a divine spotlight. I should have been nervous. But instead, I felt like I was walking into a reckoning. My dress hung beside me like armor. My vows weren't just love, they were liberation. I checked my phone. Dozens of notifications. My inbox was buzzing. But one headline stopped me cold. Architectural heir Julian Redwood to wed Portland artist in secret estate ceremony. Her worst nightmare. In 6 bolded words. Because now the world knew who Julian really was. What our wedding really was. And that she, the golden sister, had been eclipsed. Not by flash. Not by scandal. But by truth. And then, like clockwork, she arrived. Talia. Not invited. Not welcomed. But dressed in white and rage. She didn't enter quietly. She burst into the room during cocktail hour, demanding to see me. Security tried to intercept her. But I stepped in. Face to face, she looked like a mirror version of herself, perfect makeup, wild eyes. You set me up, she hissed. You turned everyone against me. No, I said quietly. You did that yourself. Where's Aiden? She demanded. I didn't answer. Because just then, Aiden walked in from the other direction, straight, solemn, and carrying a small velvet box. Talia froze. He handed it to me in front of her. She doesn't know what's in it. I opened it slowly. Inside was a flash drive and a folded note. This is everything. Use it. Talia's face drained. She knew. Somehow she knew. And she panicked. You wouldn't, she said, voice breaking. But I would. And I had. The reception hall filled with light. Glass walls open to the gardens. Guests sipped champagne, waiting for the toast. Julian took the mic. Today, he said, isn't just about celebration. It's about reclaiming truth. A hush. He nodded toward me. I stepped forward, heart pounding. And then the screen lit up. Her voice. Her words. Her cruelty, unedited. I don't care what it takes. She can cry later. My wedding is the real one. Gasps. Whispers. Then silence again. Then came the kicker, security footage of her trying to bribe the gallery coordinator. Text mocking my dress. Voice memos about using Aiden for optics. It was a public execution, and all I did was press play. Some people turned away. Others clapped. And then, one final sound, the doors slamming as Talia stormed out. Later that night, I stood alone by the reflection pool. The string lights danced across the water. Julian came up behind me, arms wrapping around my waist. She's gone, he whispered. She'll be back, I replied. But this time, I wasn't afraid. Because I wasn't her sister anymore. I was my own storm. The clip went viral before dessert was even served. By the time I stepped outside to catch my breath, my phone was a storm. DMs, press inquiries, strangers tagging me with words like iconic, courageous, long overdue. But that wasn't the part that mattered. The part that mattered was when my mother, our mother, stood up in front of the reception hall, locked eyes with Talia as she staggered near the exit, and said, Enough. You've embarrassed this family long enough. Leave. It was the first time in my entire life she had chosen me. Talia ran, her dress trailing like torn silk. No entourage. No camera crew. No backup plan. Just silence. 3 days later, a letter arrived. No return address. Just my name, handwritten. Inside, a single sheet of paper. No greeting. No apology. This isn't over. You stole everything from me. Just wait. I folded it once and set it on fire. The aftermath was faster than I expected. Her management dropped her. Her sponsors fled. The reality show producer she'd been courting released a statement that she no longer met the values of the brand. The luxury skincare collab she'd teased for months pulled. And then Aiden. He released a quiet, polished announcement. Our engagement has ended. I wish her healing, but I cannot build a future on manipulation. The kicker? He donated their wedding deposits to a women's shelter in my name. Meanwhile, I was overwhelmed with messages. From strangers. From former students. From women who whispered they'd lost everything to a louder sibling, a toxic parent, a spotlight that never moved their way. And they all said the same thing. Thank you for choosing yourself. Because that's what this was. It wasn't just revenge. It was reclamation. I should have known it wouldn't end there. 1 month later, she showed up. Right in the middle of my lecture. My department head pulled me into the hallway, pale and anxious. "She's here," he whispered. "Faculty lounge. Says it's urgent." I walked in, and there she was. Talia. No makeup. Hair unbrushed. Coat misbuttoned. Nails chipped down to the skin. "You need to fix this," she spat. "That video? That story? You ruined my life." I blinked. "You ruined your own." "You don't get it," she hissed. "I had everything. Now I'm nothing. Are you happy?" "No," I said gently. "I'm just done being the one who disappears so you can shine." Her face twisted. She lunged at me, grabbed my wrist, screamed something I couldn't even register. Security arrived within seconds. There were witnesses, cameras, professors, students, and that was that. Restraining order. Campus-wide ban. Local media picked it up. Former influencer removed from university in public breakdown. Ex-socialites fall from grace continues. She deleted everything. Socials. Sponsors. Her name, once trending, now evoked silence. And me? Julian and I honeymooned in Florence. Art. Sunlight. Gelato for breakfast. We danced in alleyways. Sketched in sunlit gardens. When we returned, the college offered me a promotion. I launched a new arts initiative for students silenced by bullies and gatekeepers. At night, I sit beside Julian and realize she didn't take anything from me. She gave me the one thing I'd never had. A reason to choose myself. And I'll never give that back.